They reached the South Pole by car before they did by foot.
Yeah, they stopped and they had eggs and bacon at the South Pole.
I think there's more sodomy at sea. Every polar record that you get is incredibly dull.
Yes.
It doesn't say Anne. You liar. Give me that. Anne.
It's obviously a typo, but I just love I know.
Bloomin Legend. Welcome to podcast number 34 of Bloomin Legends. I'm Johnny Vaughan. This is Gavin the Woodman. You right there, Gav?
Yeah, really good.
If I look a bit strained today, and a bit kind of weird, it's amazing how you can just pick up injuries when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
So if I seem just a little bit pained, a little bit strained today, I mean, the other week, about 5 podcasts back, someone was saying he's clearly drunk or he's had a stroke.
Yes.
Thanks, you guys are so nice. In fact, I'd just been to the dentist before that one.
Oh, you had wobbly jaw. That's right.
I was a bit funny. Well spotted, though. It's nice to see that when one of those things, when I am drunk, or when I do, if I do have a stroke,
yes,
you'll spot it. You know, there's no fooling you. Yeah. But today I was on a lime bike in the West End. I was just picking something up from my tailor.
Yeah. Go on.
And I just had.
I was speaking to Jeffrey at my tailor's.
My tailor's. Anyway, so I was just picking something up from the tailor's, and I got back on my bike, which I'd paused on my line bike, which I'd paused outside. And you know when you go when you're just coming off a curb, and you forget you're on a line bike, you sort of think
it's quite a heavy bike
because
isn't it?
They're heavy bikes. But you think it's like when you lean round a corner, you really think in your head you're going as low as they do. In your head, you're going as low as they do in the
racing,
Moto GPT. But you're not. You just your actual angles like that.
1 degree.
But you really feel it as you take a line on a line bike. It's pathetic, isn't it? Anyway, I jolted. I've just done something in my lower back.
You've done your lower vertebrae.
Agony. Yeah.
Ow.
Speaking of tailors.
Yes.
Just to start the show with a story, one of my favourite Bloomin legendary moments.
Go on.
Of tailoring, which I think you know this story. Do you know the one Peter Sellers?
I don't. I probably do.
Okay,
but go on. Yeah.
When Spike Milligan was going through, he'd really gone. He'd lost it.
Yeah.
And the Goons was no longer happening.
Right.
And he had terrible insomnia. He could never sleep.
Okay.
Obviously a comic genius.
Right.
But Peter Sellers at this time, obviously his fellow Goon, was a massive star in Hollywood.
Oh, on his own, yeah. He'd gone off, become a huge star.
Huge star in Hollywood, just massive. Anyway, he'd come back to Britain, and he'd heard that Spike was couldn't sleep and had lost it a bit.
Yeah.
So he thought, I'll entertain him.
Yeah.
So he's turned up at Spike Milligan's at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Just wearing shoes, socks, those old school garters,
yes,
that they used to have up the thigh,
right?
Up the calf, those, a tie, a bowler hat, an umbrella, and a briefcase.
No trousers.
No. He's knocked on the door. Spike Milligan's answered the door. He's standing there naked, on his door, and Spike Milligan just looks at Peter Sellers. He's like, "What's going on, Peter?" And he goes, "You couldn't recommend a good tailor, could you?" Gav, that's one of my heroes. I've just started off with a tiny story up, but I know you've told me you've got one of my other heroes, not from the world of film or performance.
And in fact, Johnny, this is our first explorer. It's amazing we haven't hit an explorer.
It's not Shackleton. Is it Shackleton?
It is. So today it's Ernest Shackleton. The headline here says Timeline of Unbreakable Legend.
It doesn't say Anne. You fucking liar. Give me that. And
it's obviously a typo, but I love the idea.
Not a typo.
I love the idea that, like with hotel, you're supposed to say and.
But with polar.
No, with polar.
Only
just
with polar. No, it's
not.
That's incorrect. It's like you'll be hanged by the neck. It's
right.
unpolar.
Unpolar.
He was an polar explorer.
He was.
So try and say it as casually as you can.
Okay, so today's hero, Johnny, today's Bloomin Legend, Johnny, is Ernest Shackleton. This is entitled Timeline of Unbreakable Legend.
Yeah, but he was Unbreakable Legend.
He was Unbreakable Legend.
He was an Unbreakable explorer, and maybe more than just Unbreakable explorer. Wasn't he, though?
We need to start a campaign.
No, Ben, let's just ask our producer momentarily. Why have you put unpolar? Do you know we find... No, but do you know we find that really funny? Yeah, it's one of our
favourite things.
Genius. So this is an history.
It is an history, which is weirdly correct.
But that's weird. You can say anytime there's an H, there's an an. But so
hotel and history, those are the two.
Yeah, but this is an history.
It is an history of Unpolar Legend.
This is an history of Unpolar Legend.
Yes.
So
the quick bio: Sir Ernest Shackleton, an Anglo-Irish Antarctic explorer who set a farthest south record in 1909. That's a couple of years before Amundsen reached the pole.
Yeah.
And in 1914 to 1917, famously kept all 28 of his men alive.
Unbelievable.
After their ship Endurance was crushed by ice.
Bloomin Legend.
He sailed 800 miles in an open boat and crossed the Southern Ocean to, and then crossed South Georgia's mountains to rescue them. One of history's greatest ever survival feats.
Unbelievable.
This is an amazing story.
No, it's not an amazing story. It's the greatest ever tale of daring do, unselfishness and leadership ever by any human that has ever lived, and he was British. And most school children, everyone knows Scott.
Yes.
And the reason they know Scott...
Robert Falcon Scott, which
Scott,
I found out today,
Sir
his
Walter
middle
Scott's
name was
son,
Falcon.
Sir Walter Scott's son, the famous author of Hearts of Midlothian and Queen of the South and all those things. Incidentally, the reason I list Heart of Midlothian and Queen of the South, two books by Walter Scott, is because they both have football teams named after them. The only football teams in Britain to be named after novels. So it's a good trivial question. It's a great trivial question.
Great fact.
What two football clubs are named after books? There we go. So there's two of them. So Gav, the reason we go on about Scott, and what's really weird is I've had this discussion with Sir Ranulph Fiennes. Yeah?
Right, another explorer. And I've said,
come on, Shackleton was a miles better man, and he goes, no, I won't have it.
Why?
And then,
why wouldn't he have
4 days later, on my doorstep, through my door, arrived a signed copy of Fiennes' book on Robert Falcon Scott.
Oh, really?
And the reason he liked him more was because of his unthinking sacrifice and total bravery.
Total commitment.
And that's what Fiennes likes. That's all he cares about. His single-minded devotion. He doesn't care about anything else. So the reason that Scott is much more remembered than Shackleton is simply this. World War One. We were looking during World War One for an example of someone who just didn't care about themselves.
And would go on and
their
on.
Men, nothing, just died in the name of Britain.
Yeah.
Mindless sacrifice.
Bloody-mindedness.
Yes, bloody mindless sacrifice without any regard for life of anyone at all.
Right, just determination.
We will sacrifice to get this done. He made so many blunders. He was a man, according to Cherry Apsley Garrard, given to tears and too sensitive for polar exploration. Right. So Shackleton, you don't hear about because he is fucking superb.
This guy is nails.
Right.
So let's start. 1874. He's born in County Kildare in Ireland. February 1874. His family moves to Sydenham, a London suburb where he went to school till he was 16. He was described as a restless boy.
Was he?
Obsessed with reading, travel and exploration.
Yeah.
So 1890, he spends the first 4 years, he's 16 years old. He then spends the next 4 years of his Navy career on the square-rigged sailing ship, the Houghton Tower.
Right.
It's a 3-mast clipper.
He was a tremendous sailor. He was really good.
He trained up through the ranks. You've really got to qualify to get to the next level in naval, the levels of what you can...
Do you know why?
Why?
Back then?
Why?
Because we'd conquered the Britannia ruled the waves.
Right, yes.
Since Trafalgar in 1805.
By miles the biggest navy on earth.
There was no one dying at the top.
Right.
There was no...
Oh, so you kept... More and more officers were building.
Right.
I
there
see,
was
no
chance,
war.
There
was no war till the First World War,
you're right,
till Jutland.
Nothing.
Anyway, so he's on this clipper. In August 1894, this is 4 years later, he passes his exams for second mate and he takes a post as third officer on a tramp steamer of the Welsh Shire Line. Do you know what a tramp steamer is?
No, what does it mean?
I've just learned this today. A tramp steamer is a ship that is not designated to any port. It has no fixed abode.
Really?
It's just where it is and looks for an opportunity. So if there's suddenly a load of coal that needs moving, it'll take that opportunity.
So they're sort of like the Han Solo.
Exactly right.
He's a tramp.
Yes, exactly right. He's
like
a tramp steamer.
He's just a tramp steamer.
I'm here in this place.
Right.
There's an opportunity here, and now I find out I'm going over there. There's no plan.
Jason, I've got to tell you, so it's like being a nomad biker.
It's a vagrant ship.
Yeah, but a nomad biker.
Exactly right.
Join any chapter. That's really interesting because
interesting.
In Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Yes. That's a tramp steamer.
Is it? I never knew what it meant. I always wondered. Yeah.
Brilliant, Gav.
So 2 years later, he obtains his first mate ticket, and in 1898 he's certified as a master mariner, which is a big deal. It qualifies him to command a British ship anywhere in the world. I think you have to qualify for each ocean, don't you, or different regions.
I don't know, Gav.
Anyway, 1901.
You know, when I talk about my nautical thing, all this time I've been lying. I wasn't actually in the Navy.
I know.
I was in jail.
Don't say.
I know, but that period of time.
Of course. In 1901, is there a difference? I mean, the prison doesn't sail on the sea, but is there much of a difference?
I think there's more sodomy at sea.
In 1901...
There's more sodomy and more rum.
And worse rations.
Yes.
Yeah. In 1901 to 1904, he's on his first Antarctic expedition. He's on the Discovery.
Right.
This is Scott's Discovery expedition. He gets the job.
What year is this?
This is 1901.
So they failed that
He
year.
heads to London. He's interviewed for the role of third officer, and he gets the job.
Yeah.
It leaves in 1901, the summer of 1901.
Yeah.
December 1902, it arrives 400 miles off the South Pole.
Right.
The furthest south anyone has ever ventured before.
And they build the cabins. And
That's
they do all
right.
That. Yeah.
So,
what's amazing about it is later on in a book I'll commend to you called The Worst Journey in the World, which is Cherry Garrard's, who was on the disastrous Scott expedition. He opens with the word, and this tells you all you need to know about Scott and what his men thought. What Scott was amazing at was getting cash together.
Yes.
Doing all the stuff.
Putting the expedition.
But he was really good at all that and logistics. He was good at that-ish. But the opening of the remarkable book, The Worst Journey in the World, Scott always maintained that once the preparation for an expedition is over, that's the worst bit done.
He was wrong.
He was so utterly wrong.
So wrong.
What he's saying at the start of that book,
wrong.
what he's saying in a
We've
very
done
British
the hard
way is,
bit, yeah.
no, what he's saying in a very British way is that Scott was never right about anything, and as a result of that, good men died.
And that's true.
He's talking about a man who froze to death in a tent.
Yes, that's right.
Having already lost with his 4 comrades, froze to death. 12 miles from them, that's all they had to travel.
12 and a half
Scott
miles,
always maintained that once the preparation for an expedition was over, that's the worst bit done. What he's saying is Scott was never right about anything.
And he's, I think, pretty much correct.
Yes,
yeah.
So we have to bear in mind that Shackleton has Scott all the time as an example of what not to do.
Yeah, great point. Yes,
of what
absolutely.
Not to do. He watched Scott and thought, I will never be like this guy who is emotional about everything, ruled by blind patriotism, and absolutely disastrous in terms of his sensitivities.
Right.
And what rules him.
Makes
rather
sense.
Than just cold logic.
That's right. So in 1902, they arrive via Cape Town in New Zealand. They arrive on the land mass, 400 miles off the South Pole, furthest south anyone's ever been, and we're at Bloomin Legend moment number 1, venturing into the South Pole for the first time. Shackleton is credited with helping chart a new territory there.
Yeah.
The trip was not as smooth as the headline suggests. On their return journey, the dogs all got sick from their own food supply. Killed all 22 of them. They had to.
Yeah.
The three men on the expedition all suffered snow blindness, frostbite, and Shackleton fell down with scurvy, meaning he was dragged on a sled back to the boat to be sent home.
Yeah.
He's absolutely gutted to leave the trip.
But again, that's Scott's fault. The captain should have laid on provisions.
Oh, yeah.
For scurvy since Nelson's time.
Yeah, they knew why.
They knew about scurvy.
Yeah. Vitamin C.
But Scott, because of this, when Scott does his disastrous expedition, he decides not to have dogs. Instead, he goes with ponies.
Which is why Amundsen makes it to the pole, because he uses dogs.
And do you know what happens with the ponies?
What?
Well, they just sunk.
Of course. They're all
just
heavy,
sank. They just sank.
And they've got thin little feet.
So he just had a line of ponies all sunk.
And Huskies' paws, no doubt, are slightly
so
webbed
they had
or whatever.
To leave them there, and they just ate them on the way back. They're thinking, well, at least we've got frozen ponies to eat on the way home. That was it. Another shit decision.
Terrible idea.
I say this. I don't really want to say off Scott too much, but Shackleton all the time. You've got to see him in terms of Scott. You have to see.
It makes sense. Well, in fact, the fact that he had to go home with scurvy motivated him to go back.
Because he cared so much about his men.
Yes.
Something he saw Scott just didn't have that. Even though Scott's dying words were, please look after our people, was the last entry in his diary.
Right,
You know,
a
fine thing to write when there's 4 of you frozen in the ice and you're not going to be found for fucking 2 years. Yeah.
Well, Shackleton is obviously motivated because that was in 1902 when they arrived. It obviously took him a while to get back, but between 1907 and 1909, Shackleton dedicates his life to setting up his own expedition. He works different jobs. He sets about finding funding for a mission. And in 1907, they get a boat called the Nimrod. But they set off for London with Shackleton as commander in 1907. And while they're in London, the Queen presents him with a Union Jack to carry on his sledge journey. And they leave for New Zealand.
Okay.
The boat gets stuck on the ice. And Shackleton makes the decision to offload from a base camp on the ice and start their expedition from there. They had a car. They had a car with them.
No.
Yes. And I've looked up what kind of car it was. It was an Arrol Johnston with a hyphen.
Oh, God,
I knew you'd love that. I knew you'd love that.
Gav, if we love names of British motorbikes, like a Bruff Superior.
Oh, can't get enough of it.
A matchless Bantam.
But it's really clever. I looked it up. It's an air-cooled car.
Right.
So no radiator fluid or anything to freeze.
But it's not going to get... but that's really good news because you're in minus 40.
But they obviously thought about it. It had a flat back like a ute, like a pickup car.
Yeah.
And it also had... non-freezing oil. They had a special oil for the engine that didn't freeze. And they used the exhaust pipe to redirect some of the heat into the footwell to warm your feet, which I thought was really funny. And also they had part of the exhaust heat to help melt snow for drinking. The old Arrol Johnston.
No, we took the Arrol... Wait a second. What I love about this, you talking about a group of Englishmen.
Well, it's obviously Hedley Arrol and Sidney Johnston.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah, but you're talking about a group of Englishmen who decided, I tell you exactly how we're going to get to the South Pole. We're going to bloody drive.
Well, they were going to use it. It was used.
No, we drove the whole way. It was fine. No problems.
No, it was fine for the motorist.
It was actually bloody easy.
I was actually the first motorist to reach the South Pole.
Do you know they reached the South Pole by car before they did by foot?
Yeah, they stopped and they had eggs and bacon at the South Pole.
Yes. Actually, very easy. They're all cosy in there. Sleeves rolled up.
Oh, yes, my wife was with us. And
we took a load of furniture.
We had a picnic.
Are we not going to have the furniture? We took a sideboard. And
are the children here?
We took a sideboard and a long table. We dined every night.
We dined at the pole, you see.
Yeah.
Yes, so they put the motor car onto the ice from the boat. The boat is trapped in the ice.
Yeah.
The car was used to drive ahead and set up little supply stops.
Right.
So they would move supplies forward and further forward. But
if you imagine the South Pole, like, flat on a map, you go to the furthest south. Trouble is, that means you've got to walk further on the ice. But if you go to the north, effectively, of the Arctic, you've got big mountains to get over. So although it looks nearer, you've got huge, not mountains,
obstacles,
but big, whatever
things stop you travelling.
Whatever the fuck it is under there. But it's much, there's more obstacles.
So they put the car onto the ice. Is in fact the first ever car in the South Pole.
Bloomin Legend.
That is legendary. Ever to touch the Antarctic continent. The car was used to drive ahead and set up supply stops.
So their purpose is to get to the South Pole.
Oh yeah.
Which at this time no one's still been to.
That's right. They're still 2 years before Amundsen made his.
What year is Amundsen making it in Scotland?
1911.
Oh,
1911.
Yes.
Makes it. Yeah.
Sorry, you're right. 1912 is when Scott's discovered.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're about to take on a 1,700-mile round trip as they make this effort to reach the South Pole. And they become the first to discover the South Polar Plateau, the largest landmass of the South Pole. So that's a first.
Yeah.
It is also, again, a farthest south record.
What's amazing about
at the time, they were 97 miles off the South Pole at this point.
Okay.
It's not that far.
No, what's incredible? Hang on. Okay, what's incredible about this is how every polar record that you get is incredibly dull.
Yes, farthest
the
south.
Farthest south, the largest bit of polar plateau, the biggest glacier.
It is.
The longest
the widest ice field.
field.
Yeah. The largest iceberg.
The largest underground river.
The furthest from a good restaurant.
Yeah.
Any man has ever been.
The furthest any man has been from a brewery.
From a decent hotel.
Yeah, from a vineyard.
I'm sure those are all real records.
For a decent bottle of wine.
However, though, as usual, the supplies weren't enough. Shackleton had to shoot the horses to feed the men. Eventually, they have to turn back to avoid starvation on this trip.
Yeah.
And when they returned to the UK, he is still celebrated for turning back because he saved his men's lives rather than risking it all.
Yeah, right.
In direct contrast.
You see, this is Ranulph Fiennes' thing.
Exactly,
he sees that as a bit cowardly.
Right, well, it's a Bloomin Legend moment we've got here because he's not selfish in that way. He does think of his
Ranulph Fiennes
men's life.
I said, what, sorry, to give him his full name, Sir Ranulph Twistleton Wickham Fiennes.
Yes.
He, triple-barreled name.
Absolutely, and it's
he says,
go on.
I've met him a few times. I've been down to his house.
Right, yeah.
Interestingly, the signpost off to his house is one of the only signposts in Britain that has bullet holes in it, which I really enjoy.
That's very
he lives
old
just
school.
off Exmoor.
Right.
But he says that the two qualities you really need to be a polar explorer is you've got to be. He looked at me right in the eyes. He said, Johnny, you've got to be incredibly boring and incredibly thick.
Why? Just to have that bloody mindedness?
No, I just didn't know what to say. You've got to be amazingly boring and thick.
Why? What was his point?
Because there's nothing to see or do.
Oh, so you can't be craving.
You can't be craving. You can't
stimulus or anything. You've got to be able to just keep going.
Just really boring and thick.
Wow.
That's what he says. Really, you're looking for in a polar explorer. He said he got into so many arguments with Dr. Mike. Can't remember his surname for the time being.
He's the one who had the revolver on his chest to deal with polar bears.
Yes. He says the trouble is that the only thing he ever thought about a lot of the time, because he used to get so pissed off with Mike.
They'd fall out.
Dr. Mike, they'd fall out and have arguments about when to break and what to do. Argue the whole time. Then he suddenly thought, what are you doing? You're having an argument with the only other human for 2,000 miles who is not only armed but is also qualified to write you a death certificate. That's when the North.
Well, it would be the easiest murder ever, wouldn't it?
The easiest murder
ever.
Tap-in murder.
It's starting to make me wonder if Scott wasn't done in by one of his men.
No, it's a tap-in murder.
It is a
tap-in
murder.
Fucking easy.
Okay, so now we're in 1911. He's returned he's saved his men. He's come back to the UK, and within a year or two, Amundsen has made it. We're now in 1911 when.
So that's the famous 1911 Amundsen versus Scott.
Yes,
the South Pole.
The race to the pole.
Scott dies.
On his way back.
12 miles from the next food depot,
That's
having got to the South Pole.
And not made it back.
After Amundsen.
Right.
And had that disappointment of arriving, seeing the South Pole.
Yes.
And seeing
the remnants.
The Norwegian
flag.
And they had skis, though.
So it is 1911. He's back in the UK, Shackleton. And obviously Amundsen's made it to the pole. So Shackleton announced that the Imperial Transantarctic Expedition, this is now his next goal, is to cross the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is a huge challenge.
Well, also you've now got predators. You've now got polar bears,
and it's an 1,800-mile trek.
Oh, it's different.
That's a way bigger journey than.
You are nearer civilization-ish, even though it's a longer journey. But you can drop down to Britain and Scandinavian countries and into sort of whaling ports that were around back then, which you don't really have in the south.
Right, that's right. Yeah. There's nothing.
Yes.
There's nothing.
Your real problem with the North Pole is it moves.
Yeah, it's not land, is it?
It moves.
Yeah, it does. You don't know where you are.
No.
Ever.
So where it was
is not where it is.
One night it can move.
Yeah, definitely.
You can literally be a mile away from it, and then the next day it's now 20 miles.
Well, the whole world has seen how horrific these expeditions are. Guess how many people apply to join him on this crossing the 1,800-mile continental.
How many?
5,000 people apply to join him. This is insane.
It's insane.
And that's his next Bloomin Legend moment. He was so good to his men, 5,000 people wanted to come with him on the next one.
A mate of mine's been to the North Pole, yeah?
The North Pole?
The North Pole,
go on, yeah.
And he just says, what's amazing about it is there is nothing.
No.
He says it is so incredibly
desolate,
boring that really you've seen it, but there are no birds.
No, there's nothing.
There's that
there.
line of Yeats's poetry, which is perhaps the most depressing line ever in all of English literature.
Yeah.
Even though he's Irish.
Yeah.
And no birds did sing.
Right. Yeah.
And although I once read a book where the travel writer in question was going to boring towns of Britain.
Yeah.
And he says there is only one line that you can hear regularly in English, which is more depressing than no birds will sing. And do you know what that is?
What?
Slough. This is Slough.
We are now approaching Slough.
When you're on a train there. Anyway. This is genius. But anyway, but he just said there's no birds, there's nothing.
It must be alien as hell, yeah.
They ended up squabbling, because they'd lost the expedition leader lost the North Pole, and in the end they just did it.
Didn't know where they were going.
He had a phone, and it got a satellite signal. So I don't fucking know. They ended up having to do it on someone's phone, and then you end up there going, this is. This is the North Pole. We're here. This is the North Pole.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Right, so we're here. It's the North.
Well, this sucks.
Right.
Let's turn
I think
around.
now the Russians have put something in the seabed,
right? Yeah,
which comes
yeah,
up, which
yeah.
can't be moved or whatever. Yeah.
Excellent. So anyway, 5,000 people have volunteered for this next crossing the whole continent. At times, his interviewing methods and his selection methods were a bit eccentric.
Right.
He believed that character and temperament were as important as technical abilities.
God, he's right.
It's true there. Physicist Reginald James was asked if he could sing. We've got to have one man with a decent voice. There are long periods.
But you know something?
Yeah.
I think a lot of these fuckers who do these things, it's just to get away from family.
It's a glorified stag do, isn't it?
Really
Yes.
is. If you see pictures of them, like in the South Pole, when they're in Scott's hut,
Yeah.
and it's Christmas, and a few of them are dressed up as women doing a can. So I'm going, I can do. They literally, their purpose is to sit in a shed and put on a musical.
Drink strong
you're sort of
drink
thinking, this is the only other place you really see this action in films.
Yeah.
It's like in Stalag Luft 4. You've
Exactly,
literally made yourselves prisoners.
That's right. Yeah, they have.
What they've done is they've gone somewhere where they've got rations, danger. You can't go outside.
A group of men.
If you go outside, you'll die.
That's
a group of men with nothing, who have to make sure they stay busy. Eventually, it's just a trial run for the Great Escape, really. It's ridiculous.
I just love the idea of this Reginald James. He's a physicist.
Yes.
He's obviously there for his skills.
And then they talk about...
And they ask him if he can sing. Can you hold a tune?
Can you hold a tune? Then they just all crap on all the time, much they miss their families. You're thinking, you volunteered. Of
course they volunteered.
To go...
I know, for months,
12,000
really,
miles
year.
away.
Yeah.
Right.
Others were accepted on sight because Shackleton liked the look of them.
Yes.
Shackleton loosened some of the traditional hierarchies to promote camaraderie. He distributed the ship's chores equally among all the officers.
Did he?
That's quite interesting, yeah. And the scientists and able seamen, they rotated the chores. So it wasn't like a status thing,
right.
Who got to do what. He selected a crew of 56, shared equally 28 men on each ship for the expedition.
Right.
So they had 2 ships. Between 1914 and 1917, so basically the First World War almost,
yes.
The Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition Endurance takes place. Despite the start of the war, Churchill gives the call for the ship to proceed with the mission, and in August 1914, Endurance leaves from England to attempt the first land crossing of Antarctica.
Wow.
So now we're into, pretty much his main Bloomin legendary achievement. Okay. This mission he's about to take ends up defining why he's such a hero.
Right.
More than any of the other things.
Okay.
We're now basically during the wars of the...
Could you just give me the name of the expedition again, because I love it? The Imperial...
It's the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition.
Right.
Endurance, in brackets, because that's the name of the...
Okay. And really, it's something out the page of Wes Anderson, right?
Oh, it really is.
The Imperial Trans-Antarctic...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is 1914.
I guess the reason he wants to go right across it is to claim it.
Well, that, and also...
Whatever you're saying is we've arguably been there first.
And not just that, but obviously men have died just trying to get to the pole.
Yeah.
He really wants to just go like,
they're just looking,
there and back, there and back.
They're looking
sort of thing.
They're looking for a victory down there.
Absolutely, a win, exactly. So despite the war starting, the First World War, Winston Churchill gives the call for the ship to proceed, and they set off in August 1914 to make the first land crossing of Antarctica.
Must have seemed pretty pointless with us going to war with Germany in September.
I know,
God, yeah.
I know, but they wanted a feel-good story,
I know, but there must have been times... When did they set off?
They set off August 1914.
Right, so just before the outbreak of war.
Just before, exactly. And
timed that perfectly.
And they knew the war was coming.
Yeah.
In January 1915, Endurance becomes stuck in the pack ice of the Weddell Sea.
Yeah.
Shackleton orders the abandonment of the ship and to convert her into a winter station.
Okay.
So the ship continues to drift through the ice as it thaws in the summer. But by October 1915, the ice just crushes Endurance.
Yeah.
And the men are forced to abandon the ship completely and watch it sink. That must have been a depressing day.
They got everything off it, though, didn't they? Like
pianos. They did. They had months. Yeah.
Pianos and stuff.
Yeah. They got all their wardrobes and fridges and pianos.
They have to build houses on them.
No.
But they haven't even got solid ground below them.
Steam hammers.
Yeah.
And
oh, yes, absolutely right, yeah.
How do they forge?
Yeah. Enough to create a cricket pitch.
I think all the dining tables had to come off.
Yeah.
Most of the dresses. Anyway, so they spend the next 2 months camped on the ice floe, hoping it will drift towards Paulet Island, where the men left a stash of supplies. They knew they were there. The problem is the drift was 250 miles away.
Wow.
By March 1916, so the ship goes under the water in October.
Right.
By March the next year, they are 60 miles from this island they're separate. They're waiting to get to, just from the floe. They're separated from the island by an impassable ice field.
Yeah.
And the ice they're stationed on splits in two.
Oh, Christ. God, what happened?
Now we're getting into the epic misery of what was about to happen. Shackleton's men are ordered to board the tiny lifeboats and set sail to find the nearest land.
Can I say, though, Cherry Apsicara also says there has never been, man has never devised a more miserable and pointless way to pass his time than polar exploration.
Absolutely, right, I'm sure.
But he really lays that down. Admittedly, he wrote the book in the 20s about the Scott expedition.
Yeah.
A more miserable
it's no different.
and pointless way of passing time than polar exploration.
Well, they literally did it because it's hard.
Yes.
That's literally it.
I don't know what their real purpose
just because it's
Maybe
hard.
they thought they'd find things there that, like, suddenly diamonds there, or it was a land grab, or they thought by setting up in the Arctic you could get around the world really fast.
Maybe they're always looking for stuff like that. They're always looking for stuff.
But
also, it's to do with, I think, as well, no one else will bother doing this.
Yeah.
So we'll be the only.
Yeah, but also because they lost against the Norwegians.
Yeah.
Getting a bit of at that time. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
Going into World War One. Britain ruling the waves and every corner of this earth was well, I tell you how big we were. At the time, our biggest port was Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool, up until 1916, was the second wealthiest city on earth.
On earth?
Right.
After what city?
London.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Liverpool
was it really?
Was the second
on
wealthiest
earth?
city. By a country mile as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and then at the end of the First World War, then we get the rise of America, and they finish the war 9 times wealthier than they went in, and we're destroyed as an economy. But we've never really recovered. But how about that?
That's
it
incredible.
shows you how ruling the waves and
it meant everything.
And that what a global power we were. That Liverpool, our super port, because it got you out to the Atlantic. And that kind of shows you.
Amazing. So after 5 harrowing days at sea, The exhausted men land their 3 lifeboats at Elephant Island. This is 346 miles from where the Endurance had sunk.
Yeah.
So that's how far they've travelled.
Yeah.
This was the first time they'd been on solid ground for 497 days, well over a year, 500 days since they've been on solid land.
Yeah.
Only eating seal meat. Imagine how sick of it they were by then.
Breath.
Some bloody seal.
Yeah. Oh.
So Elephant Island was isolated and inhospitable with no shipping routes, so there was no likelihood of a ship coming past.
Nothing's there at all.
The chance of accidental rescue was very low. I'd say zero.
Zero.
Shackleton knew this.
Well, the whalers get everywhere.
That's true.
But whaling a little bit on the decline now.
Right. So Shackleton, knowing this, he decided to lead a small crew of 5 men in an open 22-foot boat, the James Caird. I love how the boats have all got names.
Yes.
The James Caird, on an 800-mile voyage through the worst sea on Earth.
Yes.
To South Georgia Island, which is just to the right of the Falklands.
Now, that's a whaling stop, right?
Right.
Okay, so there's 5 of them. They've left 23 men behind on Elephant Island.
Yes.
They've said, we'll go and get help.
Yes.
We will come back to you.
They paint the boat with seal blood, and they set off for South Georgia Island.
Okay.
They sailed.
Which is an incredible feat of navigation.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, he's just going.
Yeah.
He's got a map and the stars.
Yeah, there's no sat nav. And they're trying to find an island in the middle
of one of those things.
A sextant.
A sextant. Yeah.
Yes. They sailed for 15 days, arriving just in time for a hurricane, which stops them for another 24 hours. So they're actually on the boat for 16 days.
Yeah.
They land in May 1916 on South Georgia Island, and they learn that the storm has just sunk a 500-ton steamboat the same day.
Right.
So they're lucky to have survived the hurricane. This is Bloomin Legend moment
what
number 3.
What sort of people are on South Georgia at this time?
I know. Who's living there?
Christ knows. I mean, that was a waypoint for the Falklands.
It's not tropical.
And they are remote.
It's cold.
Yes.
It's miserable.
Yes.
It's not nice.
No, they look at Falklanders as being soft.
Yes, they see them as sort of Monaco, don't
they? They see them as a bunch of farmers, not seafaring people. Yeah.
He then crosses, this is also amazing.
Okay.
He crosses the uncharted, glacier-covered mountains of South Georgia on foot to reach a whaling station and call for rescue. It took him 36 hours to travel 31 miles, wearing boots that he had put nails through.
That's all right. You do about 20 miles a day. It's
a mile an hour, isn't it?
It's a good speed. No, it's a good speed.
It's a mile an hour. Not bad over a mountain range.
Yeah.
He used a 50-foot piece of rope as well.
Yes.
He put nails through his boots and carried a bit of rope.
Of course he did.
3 months later, after multiple attempts to return by boat to rescue his men back on Elephant Island, he returns to Elephant Island and saves all 22 of the stranded men.
Imagine how they felt when he came back for them. Bloomin Legend!
God,
they would have probably said, he's back, sir! Bloomin Legend!
This is way more than the night bus coming round the corner.
Man.
It is, it's an N22.
But again, what you see here is that thing that the British love the most is underdoggery.
Yes.
And this is the English paradox, is that on the one hand, even back then, everyone saw themselves as being superior. But because they saw the British as superior, but all the time they saw Britain as this small country that was the underdog.
Yes.
That would go up against
it. It wasn't
and the reason it was superior is because it won despite being an underdog in that way. It almost, that fueled that. Was...
It's like a whole nation of small man syndrome.
Yes, it really is. Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. It's exactly that. So the idea that, again, it's a victory. Why? Because it was a total disaster. But this time, no one died.
That's right.
And you're thinking, well, they wouldn't have died if they stayed at fucking home.
That's right. Go and watch the cricket.
The point is, no one dead at the time is, hang on a second, was it the whole thing absolutely pointless and you actually lost a ship? Yes, it was. But think what we learned about the British spirit, about British resolve.
Those men, those 22 men, had been eating seal for 4.5 months on Elephant Island.
Yeah.
No pubs on Elephant Island. But that is his main Bloomin Legend moment because he never gives up.
He steered.
And he saves every single man on his expedition.
He steered 800 miles in a lifeboat.
That's incredible.
Yes. Yeah.
And crossed a mountain range.
Crossed a mountain in St. George. You can still go, you can.
Wow.
I'm sure you can do the tour.
Oh, I'm sure.
Be like
if you
Shackleton,
really,
cross the
a
other
real
side.
the Masochist 400.
Went to a whaling station, and then obviously I don't know how they got in touch with anyone. I guess they get supplies there.
Well,
once.
normally you'd be like, right, well, I've survived this.
Yeah.
Can you send some men?
Yeah,
no,
right.
he's turning around and he's
Yeah,
going
doing
back
it himself. Yeah.
After the expedition, he returns to the UK and tries to volunteer to fight in the war. He desperately wanted to fight. He was denied because he had a heart condition and he was getting on. He was a little too old.
I bet he knew that when he volunteered.
Well, apparently not being able to join in pushed him to drink heavily.
Did it?
No, they won't let me fight.
Yeah.
So 1921 to 1922, we have the Shackleton Rowett expedition called Quest. He plans another Antarctic voyage, partly scientific, partly exploratory. And then in January 5th, 1922, aboard the ship Quest at South Georgia, he dies of a heart attack at 42.
42.
Doing what he loved.
Yeah.
At 47 years old. He's only 47.
Only 47.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but he did have that suspect dodgy heart.
He must have. Yeah, he had a heart condition.
And I
of
wouldn't
some
have thought the turning to booze, because I can imagine someone who's as British as that would have hated not going to war.
Johnny, in those days, how could you tell who wasn't turning to booze?
Yes.
No one didn't drink.
Yes.
They all drank.
Yes.
Of course.
But think about how much he drank for them to think about it. He must have been so miffed
yes.
at not
At
having
being left out.
the chance to die senselessly.
Gloriously and senselessly.
Gloriously.
Yeah.
Pro patria mori.
Running towards a machine gun. Yeah,
right.
that's what he would have wanted.
No. Dulce et decorum est. Pro patria mori. That's what he was about.
It's a weirdly short and weirdly... kind of, he never really reached any of his goals.
Yes.
But what a heroic life.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Amazing. He's a blooming legend.
He is a blooming legend.
So there we go. Sir Ernest Shackleton.
And Polar Explorer.
Yeah. Blooming legend.
Blooming legend.
Fantastic, Gav. Right, there we go. So, Sir Ernest Shackleton.
Yes.
Blooming legend. And Polar Explorer.
And Polar legend.
And Polar legend.
Yes.
We've got him here, Gav.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes.
There he
now,
is.
he's our first explorer. And my God, what a story. We have to have him on the list. We're not saying he's definitely going in the top 10.
Okay, the point about him is he's very, very British.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, he didn't achieve anything apart from effectively clean up the mess he made.
Correct.
Unlike Scott.
Yes. Yes.
So let's think very carefully about this.
Okay.
Because remember, he's going to go fairly fast if we put him there.
That's true. So
whatever happens, if we put him in this top 10, is he more heroic than Reg Spears?
Yeah, of course he is.
Who posted himself?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Is he though?
I mean, yes, he is.
John Mitten, last week's hero, fantastic. Jack Mitten, come on.
Fantastic hero.
Jack Churchill, the two Jacks.
Oh, mad Jack Churchill. I mean, yeah.
Josephine Baker.
We've got to think to the future as well, because I don't really want to lose Shackleton at any point, really.
No.
And,
He's not more of a legend than Vlad the Impaler. I think he's going to go in above Reg Spears. I think he's going to go in at 10.
Yeah, but he might end up coming out. That's what I'm
worried
about.
No, he will do if that happens. If we put anyone on there. But at the moment...
That's true, yeah.
At the moment, that's my first team.
Okay, so then, yeah.
Because otherwise, I tell you why.
Yeah.
Because otherwise... Reg Spears has gone anyway.
Yes.
If we don't put him in at 10,
yes,
John Mitten's gone.
That's
true. If I put him here, between Sir Christopher, that means
Mitten's next on the chopping block.
Yeah, Mitten's next on the chopping block, and I can't have that. No, I've always got to have we've got to have our strongest squad.
Okay, go on then. Yeah.
So Reg Spears has gone because yes, Shackleton was amazing, but
he didn't do what he set out to do.
It was effectively getting himself out of a right mess.
Glorious failure. Yeah,
he's a glorious failure. There he is. He's in there.
He's definitely on the board though.
But I think that's about right now.
Yes.
So we've put him in there at number 7. We've lost Reg Spears. I suppose it was a sort of adventure.
Was, yeah.
He posted himself back to Australia.
Yeah.
You can get the podcast about that one. Just have a look. It's all indexed below. If you've got any comments to make, bloominlegends@global.com. That's bloominlegends@global.com. Or please comment below. Or at bloominlegends on Insta or indeed TikTok, where we'd love to hear about your blooming legendary stories.